everybody, and welcome to the Geography Live. Hello again if you came from the English language live. It's nice to see everybody here. And also, I just saw somebody saying in the chat my email. My email isn't knowawful GCSE. Somebody else took that. So my email is actually knowawful learning. So that is just a tip for you guys. Yeah, I know it's a bit confusing. But yes. So what we're going to do today, we're going to focus on going through past papers. I am going to release a video going through all of the paper 2 case studies for you guys, but in this live we're just going to be doing past papers. Okay? No, paper 2 isn't fieldwork, paper 3 is fieldwork, and I did make a video going through everything for paper 3. I even gave you guys my fieldwork as well, and the locations that we did it in. So and all of the data. So you can use my paper 3 video. If you don't have any record of all of the field work that you've done, that's perfectly fine. You can just use mine. I made a good document for you. Okay, so we're now going to do past papers. And if anybody has any questions, you can let me know. Hello, everybody. How do I manage streaming every day? I don't know. I'm always free in the evening. I don't have much to do. And it's quite fun as well. Hello, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. Okay, so we're going to start with 2018. I'm not a teacher, no. A new mod is required. Thank you, Saf. I appreciate that. The questions on my website. Which questions on my website? I'm a bit lost. I will release the answers because I probably do have them as a document somewhere. So remind me towards the end. Thank you. Okay, let's go through this. Okay, so as we go through the questions, it'll be great if you guys could also answer them in the chat so that you're practicing your skills. Hopefully you haven't done these ones before. We're going to try and go through as many past papers as possible for paper 2 geography AQA. Okay, I'll check my emails. We'll do a break. We'll have a break and then I'll check my emails. Oh, you do OCR geography? Well, I think it is quite applicable, but yeah, I think it should be quite applicable. I noticed last year people who did OCR, they told me that the AQA videos were still fine. So we'll see how similar the papers are. Okay, so let's answer these together. Which term is best defined by the phrase, also we'll do a Kahoot at the end as well, of course. Which term is best defined by the phrase, the increasing percentage of the population living in towns and cities? Okay, everybody is saying urbanization, and yeah, that's correct. That should be quite an easy one because it's literally the name of your topics. So B, urbanization, correct. Okay, moving on to the next one. Study figure 1, a graph showing the percentage of the population living in urban areas in different parts of the world. completes the following paragraph to describe the changes in figure 1. Choose the 3 correct answers from the list. So, ooh, it's getting a bit dark in my room. Just need to turn the light on. Okay, better. Can you see the graph? Yes, of course you can. Here, I'm trying to show on the same page. So, the smallest increase in percentage of urban population in 1950 to 2050 is expected to be in, well, the smallest increase in percentage population. So, obviously, you can use a graph, but just based on your knowledge, because you should be able to know this, I do go through it in one of my videos. The smallest increase in percentage is always going to be in high income countries, right? Because not only is economic growth already probably reached its limit, the population, because of things like contraception access, healthcare, and loads of other resources, high income countries have a smaller increase in percentage. In terms of case studies, because a lot of people have asked me this before, every school teaches different case studies. However, in the exam, it doesn't matter which one you bring up. The examiner doesn't know which one your school studied, so you can learn any old case study. So hopefully that answers some questions. Okay. From 2020, the rate of increase is expected to what in newly emerging economies? So this we have to look at the graph for. So looking at 2020, which is about here, and then we're looking at newly emerging economies, which is the yellow line. So you can see here, after a bit of increase, it seems to kind of get more stable. So what word can we say for that? We can say slow down. So I'm just going to draw an arrow there. Okay, between 2000 and 2050, lower income countries are projected to have almost something in the percentage living in urban areas. So let's go back to the graph. We're looking at lower income, and this is between 2000 and 2050. So red line between here and here. So what can we say? Well, at this rate, it's what? Roughly 25, and then here it's going to be almost touching 50. So 25, 50, so it seems to have doubled. So the answer for that last bit is doubled. Okay. Oh, nice colored pens. Doubled. So the answer is high income country, slowed down, and doubled. Let's move on to the next question. Well done for everybody trying to answer the questions in the chat. Whether you're getting it correct or incorrect, it's still worth doing. Study figure 2, a pie chart showing the reasons for rural to urban migration in a region of Pakistan, a country in Asia. Describe the pattern of reasons for migration. Okay, so this is one of the things where you've got data and you literally comment on it and there's not much to it. So what can we see here? So what is the biggest reason for rural to urban migration? We can see that that is, oh, it's not letting me highlight. That seems to be war against terrorism. So you need to comment and say, let's answer this question together actually. And there's not much space, so you don't have to do too much. Yes, I will be doing lives like this again for next year as well. So we can say the biggest factor is war against terrorism. And then I'm just looking at the mark scheme to see what else is required. Actually, I'll just show you the mark scheme straight away. So what are the most important factors? because that's also what the question is asking. Describe the patterns for reasons of migration. So is it pull factors or push factors? We can see that the majority of this is red. So the majority, the more important factor is going to be push factors that lead people out of a country. So that's another point you can make. And another point you can make is, I mean, it's simply 2 marks. So that's all the 2 points you need to make. Okay. Study figure 3. Some social media comments about traffic in Bangalore, a city in India. Using figure 3 suggests one problem faced by people in Bangalore as a result of traffic congestion, and it's got 2 marks here. So one problem and then I guess some analysis. So what can we see here? What is the main reason for traffic? Turned down lift home yesterday. I was in a hurry. 10 miles to go, Satnav says. So clearly, one problem faced by Bangalore as a result of traffic and congestion is the idea that well, remember you have to use figure 3. So you can start off by saying figure 3 indicates that insufficient public transport, roads never repaired. So figure 3 suggests that roads are not repaired enough. And then what is a problem that they then face? That then means that because roads are not repaired, they are bad quality. That means that people have to drive slower. People have to be more careful. Or another point that you could have made is that it says here insufficient public transport. So because there's not enough public transport, that means that transport will be less efficient. There's more pressure on roads. Now, another thing, so those are the 2 main points you can make there, but you can't mention 2 points, you have to mention one and then develop that point. And always reference the figure that you're getting it from. Okay, use figure 3 and a case study of a city in a low-income country or newly emerging economy to suggest why managing traffic congestion and air pollution must be challenging. Now, you guys all have studied different case studies. So it can be whether you've studied India or any other low-income countries, specifically in Africa, because those are the main ones that people do. You can mention those. So let's say what things we can think of. Why is managing traffic congestion and air pollution challenging? Firstly, let's use figure 3. So why is managing it challenging? Yes, it is Mumbai for some of you guys as well. So here, let's look at the indicative content. So you've got there must be a balance between traffic and air pollution. So that's one problem that you need to mention, especially in places like Mumbai, where there's a lot of people, the population is really high. So if you're making more roads, then you're also going to be creating more traffic, more pollution. Oh yeah, you can't see the question. Yeah, I need to move that. Okay. Oh, that's in an awkward place. What I'll do is I'll just talk about the question instead. I think that'll be better. So yeah, one point, as we said, is the balance between pollution. So I'm trying to do this with my mouse. Pollution and traffic, and also economic development. Okay. Some people are talking about Lagos there. Well done. To refer when you're referring to figure 3, you can say things like slow speed of travel, delayed repairs, poor quality of road, lack of public transport, the frustration of slow journeys. And also, if there's more traffic, there's more likely to be more accidents as well because people are constantly on the road. So, more accident prone. more frustration. It could act as a deterrent to tourism, which may be a low-income country like India or like Nigeria's main source of revenue. Okay. You can also say, remember, what is the question saying? So why managing traffic congestion and air pollution may be challenging. So why is managing it challenging? As people are saying, overpopulation, and you can give some figures here depending on what case study you've learnt. So overpopulation, which means that the problem grows faster than the infrastructure, i.e., it takes a lot of time, energy, money, resources to create all of the roads and everything else that's required, and the population will grow too fast, at a faster rate than that. People are talking about weather. You can mention weather 100%. So, i.e., the city's conditions, how. But then, if you're talking about weather, it says in the mark scheme that you need to focus on. You need to actually give an example of how that is going to impact it. So, for example, in Mumbai, you can say there's a lot of uh, fog. There's a lot of because of the pollution, they've got really bad pollution levels, and that means that there's more rain. You can say and there's more humid conditions and link it to weather that way. But yeah, respiratory diseases 100%. Lack of government income to fund road building. Well done. That's a really developed point there. Other points that you can say, there is the challenge of changing behavior when residents resort to private transport as a result of lack of public provision. We spoke about that. Older and poorer quality. Let's go through the mark scheme. Older and poorer quality vehicles with higher emissions, motorcycle taxis, which dominate traffic in low income countries, obviously, because people can't afford the greener technology. So there's going to be more traffic, there's going to be more difficulties there. Rapid industrialization, the lack of regulation, this will lead to two major contributors of air pollution. And yes, those are the points we mentioned. Okay, let's move on to another question now. Here we've got a graph showing GCSE scores along a transect through a UK city. So a transect is effectively like a measuring tape or a form of measuring distance from the city centre. So this is right in the city centre and going outwards there and looking at, in this case, GCSE scores. So calculate the range in GCSE scores shown. So this is a bit of maths. I'm going to show this on screen, and if you guys can answer that in the chat, that will be great. Hopefully you remember range is the highest value minus the lowest value. Evie's asking, when does this live end? We're probably going to keep going over papers till 8:30 and then do a Kahoot at 8:30. But I don't know. Yeah, it's up to you guys. Okay, so what is the range? Has anybody been really quick to figure it out? I know it's a bit hard to see on the screen. Well done, Zion. That is the correct calculation. So 369 minus 307. So your answer should be 62. Well done. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Using figure 4 and your own understanding, suggest reasons for the inequalities in education in urban areas in the UK. So using figure 4, which just shows how there's a disparity. So looking at the disparity, you can see that there's the highest GCSE grades in the city centre, and then it goes high in the suburbs, but there is a real neglection of education in between the centre and the inner city. So some people already answering. Let's see. Urbanization. In the inner city, there is less opportunity for education due to higher population, higher pay, but overcrowding means more disruptions in education, pressure on parents to invest in education suburbs. Yep, some really good points there. So, yep, you need to be using your knowledge of how the population differs as you go along the city, the different parts, the central business district, the city centre. So, where are most people located? Well, most people aren't going to be located necessarily right in the city centre. Most people will be slightly out of the city centre. So that's correct. There's a higher population there, so there's greater demand for education, but that's not necessarily being catered for. More travel needed to go into the centre. 100% good point. Pressure on parents to invest in suburbs because less people live there. Yep. Lack of quality of education or not enough qualified teachers in the area. Yes. Lack of social mobility. 100%. So, some points that the Mark scheme made is that there's deindustrialization, which leads to the inner city decline and subsequent deprivation, poor education in the inner areas. So, for example, if you studied for your fieldwork Stratford, because I know a lot of you are based in London, and that's actually what we did as well when I was your age. So we looked at Stratford, and Stratford was an example of being effectively in the inner city. Now, it had been an area of decline because of deindustrialization. There was lots of abandonment of factories, and so you would get a mark for saying deindustrialization leads to the deprivation and poor education. And that therefore well done, people are saying crime levels in inner cities 100%. People are being influenced in that way as opposed to being influenced in the educational route. You can also say you can also discuss things like lower employment levels. I'll show you the mark scheme here. Lower employment levels, poorer health, lower incomes, poor educational outcomes. We've also got some points here. Urban change goes hand in hand with this. So those on higher incomes create wealthy enclaves in the center or are able to move to the outskirts, accessing better housing, employment, and healthcare, leaving behind a more elderly and disadvantaged population, worsening the situation. Remember, if there is an elderly population, then nobody's going to be taking those jobs. Nobody's going to be sitting their GCSEs. You can't see my screen. Oh, thank you for telling me. I don't know why that happens sometimes. But yeah, that was just the mark scheme. Thank you everybody for telling me. Okay, credit those who discuss the inner city suburban differences. Most of you went to that, which is amazing. It would also be possible for candidates to argue that targeted education programs in inner city areas, for example, city academics, have improved the situation, so GCSE scores in some central London wards are among the best in the country. Okay, so let's go back to this. Moving on. Outline one way that national migration has led to a change in the character of a named UK city. I know the geography mark scheme is quite difficult to understand. I think they've just shoved so much information there. So I think it's good to talk through it. Okay, so national migration, how has that led to a change in the character of a named UK city? So when I release my case studies video, we'll be going through Liverpool for this one. And remember, when they're focusing on national migration, this means within the UK. So whether you've moved from Wales, whether you've moved from Ireland or whatever. So you can't discuss people moving from different countries outside of the UK. So Liverpool is a good example because Liverpool had experienced a lot of migration from Welsh people and from Irish people because of the industrialization. Liverpool became a hub for manufacturing processes and all of those sorts of things. So that's why Liverpool is a good example to memorize here. So let's just write our point. So we can say Liverpool, Wales, and Ireland experienced lots of national migration due to the job prospects. During that time, there weren't many job prospects in Wales Island, so they moved there. You can talk about cultural diversity. Yep. So how has this led to a change in the character? So you could say because of there's greater population strains, it has led to creation of more housing. As people are saying, cultural diversity and cultural impact. For example, Liverpool is the cultural centre of the UK, and a lot of creative things happen there. A lot of people talk about Birmingham as well. It's a popular city for people leaving London, so its population is growing. There's also another thing you can talk about is there's therefore added pressure to transport systems. So you may have memorized talking about London, and there's more pressure on the underground. I think it was like a million people use it almost every day. So it shows it's being overused and therefore it's getting too tight. Yep, Liverpool does have a version of Chinatown because it's the first Chinatown, I think, in Europe. So that was quite culturally important. Okay, to what extent, so we've got a 9 marker here, to what extent has urban change created environmental challenges in a UK city you have studied? So, we can't just talk about any challenges, we have to focus on environmental challenges, breaking down the question, and a UK city that you've studied. So, again, whether this is Liverpool, whether this is Birmingham, whether this is London, wherever you've studied. So, you need to mention it. So, let's talk about Liverpool here. Well done. Urban sprawl disrupts the green belt in the UK. Yep, that is correct. So let's go through these points. To what extent has urban change created environmental challenges? So remember, it's saying to what extent as well. So because it's saying to what extent, you need to talk about how perhaps there's also ways of combating these environmental changes. There might be some positive impacts as well. So urban change. One thing we can talk about is initially in places like Liverpool, there was dereliction of housing because of industrialization and mechanization, meaning that all of the manufacturing processes, instead of giving them to labor people, they gave them to machines. So people were out of job, and on top of that, they were also outsourcing their labor to places like China, where it was cheaper to do so, and also India. So this then meant that there was a dereliction of factories, housing, so dereliction of buildings, more like dereliction of buildings, large warehouses. Okay. And you can give some examples based on what you learnt. On top of that, you can say industrialized areas tend to be brownfield sites. And if it's brownfield sites, this links to your paper 3 actually, because it's brownfield sites, it often has contaminated soil, it's quite dirty, and it requires a large investment to rebuild and reconstruct. So it's quite unappealing to investors, and that's why normally the government have to step in to try and recoup that area because other people don't want to regenerate it. Well done, regeneration as well. some really good points being made in the chat, guys. Keep them coming. So since we're focusing on environmental challenges, you can also say the loss of habitats and the loss of biodiversity, or you can say how is that caused because of the green belt and urban sprawl. So the pressure on the green belt, for example, if you think about London, there's a lot of pressure to expand London, to start constructing things on these greenfield sites, especially because they're quite attractive, they're cheaper to investors, but that will then lead to the loss of habitats, the loss of biodiversity, and pressure on a green belt due to urban sprawl. The £1 housing scheme, good knowledge there. So they started selling houses for £1 just because of that's how low it was worth as well. Another impact that urban change has in terms of the environment is a lot of waste because of things like production, and whether it's looking at the manufacturing, if there's urban change towards a manufacturing sector, then there's going to be a lot of waste. But on top of that, there's also a lot of reliance on energy and electricity. You're using electricity, remember, everything that's linked to electricity means that you have these big servers, and these big servers release a lot of greenhouse gases to keep them running. So the more reliance on technology, the greater that will impact. Okay, so there's loss of waste generated, and you can speak about landfill sites. Okay. Another possible thing you could talk about is air pollution. And don't worry, you don't have to speak about all of these points. A 9 marker isn't about listing 9 different points necessarily. I would say maybe 3 points would be probably sufficient, but it's all about supporting them with evidence, supporting them with statistics from the case study that you've learnt. Okay, so those are the possible things that you can say, and add 3 spag marks as well, so make sure that you're spelling everything correctly. And punctuate as well. Okay, so moving on to the next question, which is section B, the changing economic world. It's nice how they kind of section it off actually. So, study figure 5, a table showing the gross national income data. Calculate the median value for GNI data. So I'm going to skip this because it's literally just rearranging it in order so you can put the numbers 1, 2, all the way up to how many there are, and then find the middle value. Suggest one reason why the GNI per person varies between the countries. So why doesn't every country have the same gross national income? There's a lot of reasons for this. You can talk about development. You can talk about the economy. So quite obvious things here. You can just so you can mention development. You can mention the economy, you can mention the natural resources. Some countries, especially in the Middle East and also in Africa, they have a lot of access to natural resources that generate a lot of money for the economy. They do not have to rely on seasonal things such as tourism. Okay, so that's quite an easy one to do. Give one disadvantage of using an economic measure of development such as GNI? Well, it's the idea that GNI is a quantitative measure. It's figures, it's numbers, it doesn't take into account qualitative measures of development. So it doesn't take into account people's quality of life. It doesn't take into account the fact that GNI is basically the income of a country divided by the population. So if you're doing the income divided by the population. Does that necessarily mean that everybody's earning that much? No, it doesn't. Normally, the top 2% of people are earning like it was like 30% of the total UK income. So it's figures like that which highlight how unreliable the data for GNI is. Exactly, that is why HDI is superior. That is correct. And well done, Slinky, that's correct as well. It doesn't take into account extreme wealth or poverty. Yes, it could be a question to argue Human Development Index versus gross national income, in that you would just talk about all the points that we mentioned, quantitative versus qualitative, talking about accounting for education levels, accounting for lifespan, accounting for quality of life, standard of living, and also with GNI, it's not that there are loopholes, like it doesn't take into account the black market, it doesn't take into account certain markets like prostitution. So things like that, and also taxation as well. Okay, so here we've got a diagram to explain the impact of tourism on a country. Using figure 6 and your own knowledge and understanding, suggest how the growth of tourism in a low income country or newly emerging economy might help to reduce the development gap. So, how does tourism and the growth of that sector reduce the development gap? Now, what does this diagram say? Let's just look at it. So, we've got overseas visitors attracted, employment increases in tourist industries such as hotels, workers then spend their wages. You've got what you probably are well aware of as the multiplier effect. Okay, taxes paid increases, you've got greater taxes, increased income for government spending. If governments have greater revenue, they can then re implement that money back into improving resources, improving the standard of living. Okay, the work increases for businesses as well, so the local economy also improves. Well done for everybody saying some really good answers in the chat. So, how can we now put this into a 4 marker? How does the growth of tourism reduce the development gap, or how could it reduce the development gap? So it's pretty much the diagram. This is quite a nice question because you kind of explaining the diagrams. You're talking about, you get a mark for mentioning the multiplier effect. Let's show you the mark scheme here. So multiplier effect linked to tourist industry growth. So the question doesn't require an example. Tourism makes use of valuable primary resources in the form of landscape, and especially if you have is it geotourism, or when you're just doing tourism that's sustainable and therefore you're not destroying the environment rather than doing something like deforestation to generate your money, this is a much more sustainable resource. Some really good answers in the chat. Including wildlife, blah, blah, blah. Servicing this tourism both directly and indirectly creates employment. That's just one point there you can make. And there's some statistics here, but it literally just said, this is the most conflicting mark scheme I've ever seen. It just said you don't need an example. It then proceeds to give you an example. So don't worry, you don't have to. It's not like they'll take any marks away. Infrastructure improvements may directly improve economic measures of development. Yeah, if there's increased investment in infrastructure, then the locals have more resources, they have more access, they're more able to then delve in to those secondary and tertiary industries where they can earn more. I agree, Saf, I agree. Other infrastructure may be in education or healthcare, which will improve the social measures of development. Growth of tourism brings in more money to the country, which can be used for developing the country and boost the economy. Lovely. That's a nice roundabout way of saying that. Okay. We're going to do a Kahoot soon. Let's just keep going with this. Study Figure 7, which describes the effects of an intermediate technology project in the area of Malawi, a country in Africa. There are two small health centres in the area serving 45,000 people. 1 in 6 women die in childbirth. That's really sad. People have to travel vast distances to be seen by a nurse or doctor. Travel to the clinics is usually by ox and cart. Oh wow. I thought it meant the actual animal ox. I was like, how are they riding a bird? But this is an expensive and slow mode of transport. A project was started to build bicycle ambulances and to provide training to the people in the area so more patients can make their way to a healthcare centre. It's hoped that these bicycle ambulances will help save many lives. Okay, and here is the picture of the bicycles, the ambulance bicycles. That's an interesting idea. Okay, so state two challenges faced by the people living in the area described. I think that's quite obvious. So you can talk about the 1 in 6 women dying in childbirth. Um, like literally just copy and paste that. And another thing you could say is the lack of transport. Transport is expensive, transport is slow, lack of healthcare facilities, limited number of healthcare people like doctors and nurses. Yeah, well done. You guys have got that. So that's quite limited. They literally want you to copy and paste for that 2 marker. Okay, state one characteristic of intermediate technology. It's not asking you to define it, but talk about a characteristic of it. So, with intermediate technology, a lot of students I remember struggled with this question, but you need to just remember it's focusing, if it's a technology that's aiming to improve the quality of life, what does it need to be? Well, it needs to be sustainable in the long run, okay? It can't be it can't be something like providing water bottles for the people if there wasn't any access to water, if you get what I mean. It has to be sustainable. So um, you could say that it provides tools that are simple and easy to use. So it's kind of that idea with certain charities that only give those water bottles, for example. They might be useful in the short term, having that water, but in the long term, it's not giving you a water resource. Whereas those charities that are going out and telling people and giving people the skills to do water irrigation, to build a well for the long term, those are much more effective. Cheap. Well done. Most people are getting the idea. Okay. So just to show you the mark scheme to see the different things you could have said. So you could have said simple and affordable. By providing simple machines, they can develop businesses and earn money. It involves local communities. So it's a bottom-up strategy rather than a top-down strategy. So using that geography vocab that you should be familiar with. Okay, moving on. Outline one way in which international aid has an impact on a named low income country or newly emerging economy. So, looking at schemes that are being done in other countries. So, this is using an example that you've learnt about. What's bottom up? So, bottom up is, let me show you. A bottom up, so what you have is you have the people, and you have governments or charities. So, governments or charities are the main people involved in helping you. So, a top down is what we normally see when the government is literally providing aid to the people. It's nothing, it's literally transferring money. For example, the government building loads of houses in Mumbai for the people who live in the slums. Now, what are disadvantages to this? Well, the people in the slums can't afford those houses. So instead, not only do they no longer have anywhere to live because their land has been cleared to build those houses, but now they can't afford the new houses anyway. So that is top down. Whereas if we're looking at bottom up is where you are starting at the people. So you go directly to the people, you give them the money and resources, and they kind of decide what they want to do, how to be sustainable in the long run. So, i.e., developing their skills in irrigation or farming so that they can support themselves with food. So that is a bottom up. And therefore, they can then contribute back to the economy rather than it being the other way. Yeah, well done, EOT. That's a good point. Microfinance loans. Okay, so let's continue. So, one way international aid has had an impact on a named low income country or newly emerging economy. So, kind of what we were talking about there. Well done, people saying microfinance loans. So, like, microfinance loans are when people who are unable to get loans because of financial background, they're simply too poor to be able to pay it back, and banks won't lend to people who they're not going to pay back. And that's literally what led to the global financial crisis. So they're not going to do that again. So instead, they'll these charities will give them small loans so that they can start a business and set something off. Okay, so to answer this question, we've got the mark scheme here. One way in which international aid has had an impact. So, um, examples involve funding schools, improving farming methods. I remember in Lagos they made the floating school. That's something you can talk about. Funding major infrastructure. So, one mark for a basic statement. Countries benefit from funding of projects. I'm surprised you even get a mark for that. Aid can be targeted specifically or on development projects such as providing clean water. 2 marks for a developed idea which relates to the named country. For example, aid can fund major infrastructure projects such as the Inga 3 Dam in Congo, £350 million to Pakistan, which has been spent to improve education. Yes, the Makoko floating school. That is exactly what I was thinking. Okay, so it's 34. So what would you guys like to do now? Do you want to do a Kahoot? Do you want to do some more exam paper practice and maybe finish this paper? What do you want to do? If you want to do, and if we have to do a vote, we'll do a vote. So if you want to do Kahoot, you can press 1 in the chat. And then if you want to keep going with the paper or do exam questions, press 2. Seems like most people are saying 1. Oh. Okay, now people are saying 2. It's more split than I thought. Yeah, I thought. Ah. Okay, so should we do a compromise then? Should we? How many pages left of this? I mean, there's 32 pages. Let's see how many more questions. What we'll do is we'll finish this section. How about that? We'll finish section B since we've started it, and then we'll do Kahoot. Now, finishing section B will probably take about maybe 10 minutes, so that's a compromise. We'll do a Kahoot in 10 minutes. Thank you guys for being patient. Okay. Um, Using a case study or a low income country or newly emerging country, explain the link between transnational corporations and industrial development in a country. Okay, we'll just do this question since this will take, oh, it's 6 markers, not 9 marker, but still, we'll do this question, then we'll move on to a Kahoot. Okay. So what kind of things could you say for this? Using a case study, explain the link between TNCs and industrial development. So industrial development, think manufacturing, think making, turning those primary resources, those those raw materials into the final product, into secondary materials. So Shell Nigeria, yeah, you can talk about that. You can talk about India. So I know you guys don't like looking at the mark scheme, but here it is anyway. So you can get an idea of what points you can make for. Actually, this is quite a nicely organized mark scheme for this question. Um, so it creates employment, and then you've got your actual application here. So 65,000 jobs for Shell, and also it's a multiplier effect because they then pay taxes. That increases government revenue. This means they can then invest in other services such as education that promote economic development in those areas as well. On top of that, paid employment means that greater number of people have money to spend. The domestic market grows, i.e., more people are spending, therefore, there's more room for businesses to supply to the locals, and boom, businesses grow. TNCs can be obliged to use companies from the host country as part of their operating conditions. There is also a multiplier effect as industries stimulate growth in the supply chain of connected industries as well. So, yeah, obviously, the economic growth of Shell itself has benefits for the country. As industries grow, they will attract foreign companies, often other TNCs, who will build further industries and infrastructure through foreign direct investment. Yes, so by TNCs going to countries, for example, going to India, that then attracts investment from other countries because they know there's a credible company that's making money there, so they also want to go there. But I guess this question is just focusing on the impacts. I guess because it's impacts, you could also speak about the negatives, i.e., the labor, the terrible conditions they work in, and um, the disadvantages of that as well. Okay, let's now move on to doing a Kahoot, as that answers that question. I'm sorry for those of you who don't want to do a Kahoot, but it's fun. And we've been working a lot. So give me a second, I'll get the Kahoot ready. Yep, you can speak about the oil spills as well. That's a good point. Predictions? What do you mean, predictions for what could come up in the exam? I have no idea, guys. What, for geography? Guys, just revise everything. Geography is not too much. And it's quite interesting. Like, a lot of it is common sense. So I would say just revise everything. Because I remember once, I think it was my teacher, told me that, oh, global atmospheric circulation won't come up. It's never come up. And then guess what? It came up. So just revise everything. Oh yeah, but you guys can make predictions if you want. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Okay, I found a good Kahoot. the Okay, and if you're unable to join that, then I'll make another Kahoot as well. Okay, don't worry if you weren't able to join that, you can join this other game, and I'll start this one. Okay, let's see who's made it to the top already. Elmi's at the top, Shafana is second, Maxwell is third, SW is fourth, Irons is fifth. Okay. Okay, if nobody is joining this one, I'll start this game too. Also, guys, make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already. Let's try and see how far we can go. I'm trying to get to 100k this year. Let's see. You can still join the Kahoot that's on screen. Maxwell has the highest answer streak of 4. Let's see who can get the highest answer streak as well. Zizzy has a streak of 3 in a row. Well done. Yasmin moving to the top 5. Well done, everyone. Well done, Niyati, you're first. Pancake has an answer streak of 4. Let's see if anyone can beat that. All 3 players have reached an answer streak of 4 on this team. Well done. These are some interesting questions, actually. Max or Zizzy with 6 in a row. Well done. Elmi at the top here. Seven answers in a row. Wow, you guys are good at this. Well done. Niyati is keeping it at the top. Maxwell still at the top here. Zizzy second. Tanu third with a streak of 8. Same fourth, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly. And Fatima fifth. If I'm saying your name wrong, anyone, you can tell me in the chat. Don't be afraid. Elmi top here. Maxwell second. Irons third. Yasmin fourth. Hi fifth. Yeah, you only have a few weeks to go and then you'll be done with your exams. I hope this is making it a little bit more fun. Yasmin's moving up the board. Well done. Okay. Maxwell first, same second. Zizzy third. Fatima fourth. Yeah, have you guys got any plans for the summer? That's a good question. I want to know what you guys are doing. Are you going abroad? What are you doing? Yeah, I know some of you are here next year, which is amazing. It's nice to see you guys. I'm going to miss so many of you though. But don't worry, I'll be doing A-level videos so you can stay with me. Do you think, I'm gonna have to change my YouTube channel name if I'm gonna do A-level videos. I already have done A-level videos, but sleep all day. Elmi is top with 13 correct answers in a row. Well done. Tanu is making it up this board. For those of you just joining, you can join the the Kahoot that's on screen now. Here's the link. No pancake A-level. I like that. That'll be funny. Oh, look at everybody changing. Elmi's still at the top here. Maxwell first, same second, Tanu third, Zizzy fourth, Fatima fifth. For everybody who's not on the leaderboard, try and make it to the leaderboard. See if you can do it. Hanu with an answer streak of 5. Well done. Maxwell at the top there. Oh, there's 2 Maxwells. That's really odd. Luminous Cypher wants to be mod. Let me check my emails. I've seen you. What do you guys think? Should Luminous Cypher be a mod? I haven't received any emails. You know, recently we achieved 1 million views. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Oh, Max was playing in both games. See, that's make everybody a mod. The pin should be at the bottom of the screen. If not, I can link it to you again. Thank you. Yeah, we reached 1 million. I don't know how YouTube keeps track of all of my views, but it's quite cool. Now imagine if each one of those people subscribed. I guess there's the same people doing multiple views though. Guys, you know when some of you are emailing me, you do realize you're putting your full name and your phone number when you're emailing me. I don't know if that's by accident. Don't worry, I won't do anything with it, but be careful. I'll make you a mod. Guys, what's going to happen when all of you no longer watch the GCSE live streams next year? Who's going to be my mod then? Actually, then I'll know. Because some people have been here who are year 10s, so I guess I'll make them. Wait, Niatia, you're not in year 11? I thought you were in year 11. Or you'll come back, as in, like... Oh, you guys will come back. See? Look how loyal you guys are. West Ham Supremacy says stop begging. Change your username because West Ham... Yeah, it'll be A-level time next year. I don't know, I didn't do A-level geography. But I know it's fun because they always got to do trips, the people that did A-level geography, and because I guess field work, and they would do like 1 week of field work, and we unfortunately did not. But definitely, I was thinking of doing A-level geography, but instead I did economics. Both are quite good. I think both are equally good and useful. Which subjects would I cover for A level? I'm going to cover the subjects that I did, and then I also know somebody who wants to cover subjects that they did, and they did very different subjects to me. So it'll be a broad range. It'll be things like English, history, maths, further maths, chemistry, physics. Um, yeah. Which subjects did I do at A level? So I did maths, further maths, chemistry, economics, A levels, and then I did an AS in physics. Any advice for maths and chemistry? Um, Maths do practice throughout the whole year, and chemistry, well, it depends what exam board, but with chemistry, normally the boundaries are quite high, so most people understand the content generally. So you need to make sure you have a really, really in-depth understanding. So spend time throughout the year going over that. I'm a neek. See, I don't even know what neek means. Oh, we've got the podium here. Third place, pancake. Second place, same, well done. I feel like I'm saying your name so wrong. First place, Maxwell, well done. Despite playing on 2 different games, that's quite impressive. And for this podium, third is Shafana, second is Maxwell. Imagine getting the podium in both games, well. And first is Elmi. Well done, guys. And well done everybody playing as well. Why did I start this channel? Sim. Oh, no, I understand. Yeah, thank you. Sim? I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, well done, everybody. Do you want to do another Kahoot? What grades did I get in A level? A stars. And then obviously AS level, you can only get an A in that, so. Yeah, there probably is a live, but most people want to do another game. So let's see. Do you want to do it related to geography or do you want to do it generally any random thing? Goodbye, Maxwell. Oh, like Syme. Wait, really? Is that how you pronounce your name? Syme. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do a maths live. Thank you, Niati. Random. Most people are doing random. Okay, let's do a random one. What topic should we do it on then? You know what? I've just got an idea. I'll just do a geography and a normal one. So if you want to do a geography, then you can just do that. That makes sense. Yeah. So we'll do both. So everybody who wants to do a geography related one, you can just join that. Okay. Okay, so if you want to do geography, a geography game, then join this Kahoot here. I'll share the link in the chat. So if you want to do a geography related Kahoot, then you can join that one. And if you want to do a random one, I'll find a random one. I'm trying to find a topic for us to do. Okay, for those of you who wanted to do the geography, I'll start. God, sorry about that. I will start that live. What do you guys who want to do a random one? What do you want to do it on? Music? Do you want to do it on what topics? Because random is quite like Disney. Because I was thinking Disney, but I don't know if you guys like that. Food. That's such a good one. Let's do it on food. Food is amazing. See, this is why I ask you, because you guys have such good ideas. Okay. Let us do food. And yeah, it is related to. I want to waffle as well. Okay, I found a good one. Let's do it. I will share the pin. Yeah, I don't really eat waffle, but where would you just go and eat waffle? But I still want one. They look really aesthetic, don't they? George is winning the geography one. Well done. Aren't they? Aren't the lives so fun and interactive? Thank you, Niyati. They are quite fun. I mean, I don't really know how food is related to geography, but it's fine because you guys need to relax as well. Yeah, people are missing out if they don't subscribe. Thank you, Niyati. See, I haven't paid Niyati to say this. She's just saying it of her own accord. Wow, there's only 10 people. Okay, if anybody else wants to join, they can. But let's start. Thank you, Mahim. And Chidima and everyone else. Which country does the spice culture belong to? 50k, everybody. We need to get to 50k. We've halved the goal. Morgan is winning. By the way, if anyone's confused who's just joined, we're doing a geography live and a geography Kahoot and a food Kahoot. So you can join whichever one you want to join. You know what? I think we'll do a desserts one after this. Because I really want dessert. Thank you, Bahim. Bye. I'm not, I'm a past student. For those of you doing the food, do you want to switch to desserts? If you do, you can let me know. Like one about desserts. See you in your other live? In my other live, Mahim. I feel like I've got to know you guys all personally, even though I just see you typing things. It's like I know who you are. Desserts. Yeah, let's switch to desserts. Just to satisfy my own craving for eating. Okay, let's see who's won this. Okay, so for the food cultures of the world, third place is Morgan. Second place is Remy, and first place is Agrodors. Well done, everybody. Yeah, we do have a bond, guys. We do. You tell your friends about me. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so cute. I can't believe it. Wow. Okay, here is the, I'll share the link for the desserts. We've got our priorities right. I had, oh, guess the food in the picture. I'll try and find one like that, but no awful GCSE is playing as well. Oh, the geography one is paused. Sorry about that. I forgot about you guys. Okay, there's a lot more playing now. Remy is eating a cheesecake. Oh, please give some to me. Cheesecake's my favourite. Chidima's winning, see? I know what you guys are. You have knowledge on. I think this game's all about speed for the desserts one. Oh, you guys are fast. Okay. Chidima's gone to second place. Noel for GCSE's third. Noel for GCSE. Whoever you are, you better be first after this. Will there be a night before GCSE geography live stream? Of course there will. There are night before literally every GCSE, so don't worry, we are. Except history and Spanish. Goodbye, everybody who's leaving. Thank you for joining. Waffles is at the top. Yasmin has the highest answer streak of 5. Let's see. Look at Niati jumping all the way to second place. The night before the exam will probably be a bit more related. It will be more related to geography, and it will be going over the content as opposed to probably doing questions. I'm an upside down cake that is baked, then turned over and served upside down. What am I? This is so funny. We're learning about food here. J2 Busy has gone all the way up to the top. No for GCSE with an answer streak of 3. Going to the geography game, you've got George at the top, 3 second, R9 third, Elm 4th, EV 5th. This is called How to Make Yourself Hungry in 5 minutes. Okay, who said house bread for gingerbread? Come on. I thought that was a universal thing. Thank you. Everybody got that correct. George is still at the top of geography. J2 Busy still at the top of this one. Noel for GCSE moving to second place. Can you overtake? Oh yeah, I remember Chidima did Much Ado About Nothing because I remember she was she's one of the people in my live. See, I feel like it's so rare to do Much Ado About Nothing. My school did that as well. No for GCSE's moved to the top. That's what I like to see. Thank you, Chidima. That's what I wish there was resources for Much Ado About Nothing when I was doing it as well. But there was nada. The answer was key lime pie. Last question for everybody on the desserts. You've got about 50 questions for people on geography. Don't worry, we'll probably end it early. Okay, and the results for the desserts Kahoot. You've got third place, J2 busy, well done. Second, questionable, well done. And first, it's the one, the only, no waffle GCSE. Whoever you are, really good job. Okay, I'm gonna probably end the geography live as well. Was it rigged? Okay, let me just end those lives. Let's see the results for the geography one. And then we'll end it. Goodbye for everyone who's going. Okay, so for the geography live, we have, or geography Kahoot, sorry, we have third place, Sri, or probably pronouncing that wrong. Second place, George. And first, yeah, the night before we'll cover everything. Elmi. Okay, well done everybody, and well done the runners up, R9, Evie, and everybody else who did geography. Well done for staying on track. Okay, thank you guys for all attending. Tomorrow's live, I have no clue what we're doing tomorrow, but make sure you turn up anyway because it's nice to see you guys there. At least just say hello. So yeah, and it will probably be at 6 or 6:30 or 5:30, a time around that. It will be level 2 further maths and biology tomorrow. So make sure you attend those. Okay, thank you, Niti, for reminding me. I'll try and do that. And I'll see you later, okay? Bye, everyone.